Hey, I'm Cameron McKenzie. I'm the editor-in-chief over at theserverside.com. You can follow me on Twitter at CameronMCNZ. But right now, I wanted to talk to you about the 8 essential Git with GitLab commands that every single developer needs to know. Now, all things start with signing into the GitLab administrative console. I've got the on-premise edition of GitLab here, so my URL might be a little different, but if you're using the cloud-based version, it's going to look pretty much the same, just the URL may be different. If you want to clone a repository, which is going to be the first Git command I'm going to work with, you need to actually create a project in GitLab. That creates your Git repository as well. So I'm going to create a quick project called GitLab Made Easy. I'm going to make it public. I'm going to add the README as well. I definitely suggest you do that. Click Create Project. That not only gives me a whole project, but that also gives me my Git repository. There's my Git repository there, GitLab Made Easy. And that is what I want to clone. And so to clone, you need the HTTP or SSH URL. I'm going to clone with HTTP because I don't have SSH keys set up yet. So I'm going to click Copy URL, open the terminal window, which brings me to my home directory. From here, I'm just going to say git clone, paste in that URL, and all of a sudden that directory gets cloned. You can see that folder there, GitLab Made Easy. I'm going to cd into that folder. And you can see that README file is sitting right there. So I've successfully cloned that repository. Now the next Git command that I want to take a look at is the git add command, which adds things to the index. But if you want to add things to the index, you have to have something to add, which means I'm going to have to create a couple of files. I'm going to go touch home.html, touch script.js, touch style.css. These are just going to be blank files that end up on my file system there. So you can see home, script. You can create these using the File System Explorer, however you want. Just touch is an easy way to do it. But now I've got these 1, 2, 3 extra files on here that I want to actually add to Git. And before you actually commit files, you have to add them to the index. In fact, if I do a git status command, that's a actually good command there. It'll say, look, you've got these 3 untracked files. If I do git add dot means just add everything, and then do a git status again, you notice it says, hey, these are no longer untracked, they are now tracked. And being tracked, that means if I do a commit, those files will be included in the commit. And then that's the next thing I want to do. Git commit -m means you can add a message in there. And your commits are supposed to be active in the way that they sound. So if someone kind of looks at the commit message, it should be, if you look at this commit, you will see that this commit will add 3 files. It should read like that. Anyways, that does a commit. I do git status now. It says, hey, everything looks clean. You are ready to push your files to a remote directory. That's not a bad idea. And so how do you do that? Well, the next command that I want to give you a look at is the git push command. And so I say git push origin. And origin is just basically the name of the remote Git repository from which you originally cloned. It's going to ask me for my username, which is root, a password, which is very uncreatively password. And now I have pushed files to the remote server. And right now, this is the remote server. You can see GitLab Made Easy. It says only 1 file exists, README. But if I do a refresh, watch this magic. 1, 2, 3 extra files have been added. And that was added because my developer added 3 files, added them to the index, did a commit, and then finally did a push. Now, these files are pretty boring. So if I take a look at this file here, home.html, there's nothing in it. Now, what if somebody edits this file? Well, I'm actually going to take a look at the web IDE in GitLab and actually just add some code to this. And this is my hello world HTML file. And so what can we do in here? Well, I guess maybe we should just do an H1 heading and say, hello world. and then say GitLab really is easy. So you can use this web IDE to update files. So I'm going to do a commit here. If someone takes a look at this file and looks at this commit, it will update home.html. I guess that looks good. I'm going to commit to the master branch, click commit here, and all of a sudden the latest commit has this content in it. But the problem is, if I actually go onto my file system and I take a look at that particular folder on my file system, GitLab Made Easy. Now this is the developer's file system. So think of GitLab here as the server, although Git really is sort of distributed. There is no central server, but you can think of GitLab as your central server. If I take a look at this home.html file, open it up in editor, you'll see that there's nothing in there. So how do you get that change, which is on the server here, onto the client? Well, in order to do that, you do a pull. And so now I'm going to do a git pull. And it says, hey, you know what? We've actually brought a new file in, home.html, and it's got a couple of changes in it. If I actually go and open it up once again in that text editor, so there's GitLab Made Easy. Hey, why not even open it up in Firefox web browser? I guess we could do that too. And if we open that file in Firefox, you can see, hello world, GitLab really is easy. And that's just a manifestation of the fact that we've actually downloaded that change. We now have that change on our local file system. And so that is the other command that you really need to know. That's the git pull command. And for that matter, the other thing I like to do is I like to do a git reflog command. That will show you a list of all the commits that you've done locally on your local file system. So you can see we did the clone, we did the commit, and there's also git log. And git log will show you a full history of commits. So you'll see not only the initial commit and the adding 3 files commit that we did, but you can see this update home, which was the result of a pull. But anyways, there you go. Those are the basic Git commands that every GitLab developer needs to know in order to be basically productive. So the clone, which you do to get the repository, you add files, and then you do git init. Sorry, you don't do git init, you do git add. After you've decided you're happy with all the files you want to add to a commit, you actually do a commit. To actually push that commit back to the server, it's a git push command. And then from there, if somebody changes something on the server and you want to bring those files locally, that is a git pull. Then a couple of other commands I took a look at in there that are just darn helpful. That's git status. Status shows you what the status is of the different files in your file system. Git reflog, which just shows you a history of all your local commits. And then git log, which shows you not just your local commits, but also all the commits that are associated with that repository, specifically the branch that you're on, including the stuff that you've pulled from the remote repository. And so to see the next tutorial in this series, head over to the serverside.com. We've also got lots of great information on GitLab, on Git, and all of the different issues that pertain to server-side development, be it Java, the cloud, application servers, Kubernetes, and whatnot. And of course, if you're interested in more, you can also follow me on Twitter @CameronMCNZ.